Exactly. Okay, so this is Church Grim Art. Church Grim Art has been someone in our Discord for a long time, someone in our chat for a long time. Yeah. Church Grim Art made this. Wait, mention him a habitat. We're gonna do what we do. This is the first time we've done this from an art perspective, besides Quinn. But if Quinn does it, it doesn't count. Quinn, I love you. I'm just kidding. Subscribe to Church Grim Art. There's 10 subscribers right now. 10 people have subscribed to Church Grim. This is someone who makes shit for y'all all the time, who participated in the art battle last week, who literally made our weight screen. I'm going to sub. That's 11. Show some love. Take it away, Church Grim. Come on. Art breakdown. Oh, no. I'm subbed. Sorry.
Hey, what's up? My name's Church Grim. You can call me Church if you want to. I'm an artist based out of North Carolina. Really quick, off the top, I would like to thank Kenny. I appreciate the opportunity to make this.
Got you.
It's a really fun project. Eris for the art direction.
Fuck you, Eris.
He also helped put together the final assets.
Helped.
And I want to thank Couple Millie. He is a producer from the Discord, and he gave me music to use in this video. Also, shout out to the KVD.
Shout out.
You can find my website here, and you can follow my Instagram here.
Boom, 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 boom.
I'm doing a lot of work to try to get followers on there, so that would be really, really appreciated.
5 minutes left to submit your beat. 5 minutes left to submit your beat. 5 minutes left to submit your beat. 5 minutes left.
I'm gonna go into the breakdown of the art battle piece and the Gunna piece. I'm gonna try not to get too techy, but I'm gonna teach you guys some basic concepts about certain things in 3D modeling that you may not know, might find interesting. First, we're gonna start with the art battle piece. I'm starting out with an HDRI. It's basically a 360 image that has a lot of dynamic range in the colors, so you can get a lot of details in the brights and darks. And in 3D software, you can actually wrap that around your scene and use the bright parts as lighting, so you get nice color.
I already feel so stupid. This is for our real art people out here, because I don't even understand how these programs work.
Balance bouncing around your scene. So to start off with the ground plane, I just took a plane like this, subdivided it into a bunch of squares, used the proportional editing tool, and just moved them straight up. And that gave me some variance and some hills. I textured this using what's called a PBR. A PBR.
This man did architecture for the fucking art battle?
Collection of images. The first one's the actual.
He said he was drinking a PBR. What did you just say?
Color of the image, so it's like what you see on the outside.
You probably shouldn't do these drunk.
But the rest of them are black and white images that can give certain values, black being 0, white being 1, and the darker or lighter the gray can be somewhere in between that value. You can plug that into things like roughness.
What does this have to do with drinking PBR?
The height off the original mesh, any kind of metallic effects. So allowing them to kind of give the look without having to add a bunch of extra geometry is really helpful with your workflow. Next up, we have this TV. This is a old Panasonic TV, I believe. I downloaded the model for a different project. In the same way that if you're making music, you have samples, you want to have artist assets that you can drop into different programs.
That's a W.
It's all about how you use them creatively. And this is
the more shit you have on your computer, the easier it is to think of something new, because you're drawing from more shit. Come on. Thank you, Church Grim, for relating it back to music for idiots like me.
I took the TV and on the front screen applied an emission material. We can change the color, the brightness of it. For this render, I'm using Cycles, and it's a Blender render engine, and it actually allows emission textures to bounce off. Fucking nerd. I ended up using this like warm kind of orange hazy look that I stole from the Yeezus live tour. Next up, we have this figure. Found this mesh online. It was a quick free one that I wanted to use. Don't at me. I know it's ugly as shit. I modeled him using an armature, which is basically a posable skeleton that will attach to the mesh, and you can move it around and everything will kind of move with it instead of having to model individual meshes and getting like warty and crappy.
I feel like this is really well done.
I lopped off feet and a head and...
Go subscribe to Church Grim. Go subscribe to Church Grim. Go subscribe to Church Grim. We're doing an art breakdown for the first time. Someone is breaking down their art battle submission, and they're going to show how they made our elevator that we use all the time. Go sub, go sub, go sub.
Foreground.
Voting starts in 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to submit your beat. Don't cry if you don't get it in. Right now, if you have not bounced, you need to bounce this second and send it in. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Sub to Church Grim Art and put your fucking beat into the submissions if you want to be included in the voting today. We have 2 minutes left, 2 minutes left.
kind of match the sample. As far as the material goes, I didn't want to go with a skin texture or something weird. I like the idea of this cool glass look. So I added roughness so you could actually see the silhouette and make out the figure and what's going on. The modeling, I have barrels that were in my folder of assets just to add a little more interest to the background. And then finally, a little bit of fog to just sell that like light bouncing and haziness, and it just really adds a lot to the scene. So for final touches, I went into Photoshop, added a tilt shift blur, which basically blurs the bottom and top more and more as it goes to the edges, and it creates more depth. Next up, I added a curves adjustment and darkened everything, but then I carved out the center so that your eye is kind of focused on that line between the character and the TV. I then added a curves and levels to mess with the color and kind of get it where I wanted it. A little bit of grit texture. Then I took...
Do people see like me making beats and it feels this confusing?
Multiple copies of the flattened image and blurred them all at greater and greater degrees, and then set the opacity down a little bit, and that creates this like really hazy look. Next up, I created a sharpening layer, but then I used a mask, and I only masked in the sharpening around the character.
I feel like when you see me make beats, it looks super easy. But this looks like the SATs.
The TV, so it softens everything around it and draws your eyes into the important things. But I know I wanted a little bit more on that, so
because he's talking about like psychology.
Split them into...
He's like, I'm gonna make your eye look at that. I'm like, holy shit, I was looking at that.
Respective red.
And when I make a beat, I'm not like, and here comes the synth pad in your left ear, like.
And green blue.
This is different.
Overlap them and use the liquefy 2 different ways, and that creates this RGB overlap that adds just a little more dimensionality and character to the subject. And then last but not least, a little bit of noise and boosted the saturation just a little more to really drive it home.
I feel like Church Grim is a beast. No? If you guys do art in here, let me know. But this shit feels like advanced. Like it's not like he's not using like RC20, you know what I mean? Like I feel like he's a beast.
Next up, let's go to the Gunna animation.
Next up, let's get it.
I knew I wanted like a claymation.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Look how fire.
So I found some different assets, modeled some things myself, and ended up with this model here. I added a
fucking killed it. I feel like Gunna would see this and actually really like it. I'm not kidding.
A bit of animation rigging to the chain and the hair so they could sway slightly. I also used a drawing of my friends on the shirt just because I thought that would be a cool little Easter egg. You'll notice that the shirt has a cloth texture, but it's larger than a normal cloth shirt because I wanted to look like stop animation. And so when you cut tiny fabric, when you zoom in on the camera, the folds and whatever are a lot bigger. So I wanted that woven texture to be a lot larger so it would actually look correct for what I was going for. So in the same way that I moved the character before, I used an armature here to move Gunna around and pose him where I needed him. If you're working in a cheap studio, you're probably
random side note, but I feel like we're gonna see a news clip about Church Grim Art 3D printing a tank in like a couple years or some wild shit like that. What is this a 3D printer? I feel like he definitely 3D prints. I feel like, all right, let me just get back to it. Sorry, tangent.
Have like a roll down background and some little clamp lights for the background. So I wanted to emulate that so that even though if you're not thinking about it, it still looks like you're using that studio look. The ground is just a tube that I modeled and applied different forms of this clay texture I made on. But I used one of those maps like before, fingerprints, and really cranked it up so that it looks like somebody was modeling it with clay. Then
oh my God, that's so sick.
Keyframed the actual fingerprints to move and shift every couple frames so it actually looks like somebody was going in and touching it with their hands.
That's so sick.
Really sells the idea of this whole claymation though.
Oh shit, pencils down, pencils down, pencils down, pencils down. Pencils down. Hands off your keyboards. Hands off your keyboards. Hands off your keyboards. Hands off your keyboards. Now it is time to vote. Now it is time to vote. Now it is time to vote. The beat battle submissions are over with. We are now voting. We are now voting. Go listen to as many as you can. Vote on everything that you like. Vote on something new. Vote on something weird. Let somebody win this week that's not just doing a tight beat or not just doing something you've heard a million times. Vote for some weird shit. Please. Please. Okay, we're going to go back to this. I'm really actually enjoying this art breakdown. If you're enjoying this art breakdown, put a W in there. Someone said, where do I vote? Someone said, Kenny, the submissions are blank. What the fuck? Is voting working? If voting's working, put a W in the chat. Oh, I said that W in the chat for something else too early. Is voting working? Voting is working. Okay, cool. Please vote. You don't need to be subscribed to vote. You don't need to be subscribed to my channel or my Discord or anything. This is just helping support new producers, amazing talent, people all over the world, people who waited all week to get $5 together to get subscribed so they can participate in this, or people who got gifted subs from our generous ass gifters in here and decided to use it on something creative this week and get involved. Please go listen to as many as you can. Okay, back to this. This is Church Grim Art. When we started this video, Church Grim Art, who's a member of our community, had 10 subscribers. I was subscriber number 11. There better be a whole lot more than that. Please show some love the same way we would if it was one of y'all. Come on.
And then that thing rotates and Eris could just use it as an asset.
By the way, if y'all want to see this again real quick, just to be reminded.
Yeah, on the spaceship now, I'm a space cadet. Big white mansion in my habitat. Aim a lot of sticks like a laser tag. Fuck a rich bitch, have a rich set. Smoke a lot of trees, need a...
Found this 3D long line and applied my own materials to it. Instead of going with a realistic car shine, I went for this like plasticky look so it would look like a toy car. And then I took out the entire front grille and added in dots on the front because you got to represent.
Let's go.
Next, I added in the Gunna model, posed him, and added his blunt in, and parented him to the car. Whenever the car moves, Gunna moves with it. Then for the last pieces, I added these little background hills in just to give a little more depth. Added these clouds just to add a few more things that are interesting in the background. And then we move on to the fish. So I started with this initial concept of this like quirky balloon character thing. And then I tried moving into like goggles and stuff, and me and Eris were just kind of like, it's not, that ain't it. So then we moved to this Kenny
Eris was like, put a Doom hat on it.
Flying character. Instead of balloon, we went for the wings. And I tried the clay material on the wings, but it just wasn't there. Oh, and then I also naturally had to put the Doom on the hat. For the next trial of the wings, I took this image off of unsplash.com. It's a free stock website. I cut out the feather and photoshopped it so it kind of worked for my needs, and then applied it like that same bump map technique to give a little depth. And then applied them using a hair emitter, which basically just adds hair to the object.
Whoa.
But instead of the hair, I rendered it as those feather files. And that was okay, but it was still just a little too janky and like not working. So finally Eric had the idea to just...
I might have to start doing like
use
graphic art. This is sick.
Big ass feathers, and that ended...
I can see how people who make beats are also good at this.
Looking great. And that's what we rendered. So in my version of it, before I sent off to him, I added these VHS effects and kind of animated everything. But there was one extra asset that I wanted to have because I knew I wanted him to have smoke coming out, but I didn't really want to like model that. So what I actually did is I took my phone on a tripod, I took this cotton material that I found in my house and made my own stop motion, brought them into Photoshop, adjusted the brightness and contrast, brought them in here and lined them up. And then I used a tool called Unmult. And that
if this shit makes sense to y'all, put a W in the chat.
Basically removes the black background. It's really good for smoke. It's really good for fire. It basically makes it transparent, but realistically without fucking up the image. And there we have it. That's the whole loop. That's everything.
So sick.
That's all for the art stuff. I just want to take one last chance to say, if you're watching this and you made it to the end, I hope you're doing all right. Be nice to the people around you and be nice to yourself. You are going to get a lot more done being nice to yourself and working with yourself than against yourself. I'll talk to you later.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And that's why we show love and that's why we subscribe. So let's see if y'all are real. That was honestly amazing. I feel like even as someone who doesn't use any of those programs or even understand how to make art like that, it was interesting. It was informative. He didn't get too deep for those of us who don't understand. And I think that's a really good lesson for people who make beat breakdown videos too. Yeah, we want to know, but when you get too deep, it becomes inaccessible for people who are just trying to learn. And I think if you're going to make one beat breakdown video, it shouldn't be for the heads. It should be for everybody to be entertained by. And this was entertaining, even if it wasn't for me. I'm subscribed. There was 10 subs when we started this journey. Let's see.
Hey, what's up? My name's Church Grim.
Ooh, hey, what's up, Church Grim? You have 430 subs now. Make some damn noise. Make some noise. Went from 10 subs to 430. That's 420 subs. We don't miss. just as we planned, 420 subs to Church Grim. We don't miss. Oh my God. Fucking A.